Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good day. Happy Friday from a very wild and fun week. $9.25 price action coming in hot. If we're going to bounce it all back up into the zone, it's going to come from this area here. I'm probably going to let this news shake out. I do favor the upside at least to this. And if we can do that and then trade back in and find strength, we'll probably take all of this on the way up. The problem, if we fail here, we do have this low, which certainly could be a target. Right? This one here. But if we don't find some sort of footing, if we find no footing, then we've got this area probably in the middle, which would be about 100 points down from here. And if it really decides to go, which I think is low probability considering this high here, we didn't take this, then we've actually got the midpoint of this zone as our last, or our next target, I should say. So if we don't find footing here, we could be in for quite the run on the morning. Morning, Bizran. Morning, Bert. Right? So again, I mean, depending on your aggressive level, I'm personally not going to be taking a trade in 20 seconds. It's a rabbit hole, Burr. It's a rabbit hole. It's probably not. Yeah, it can be addictive. It can be addictive having a look at candlestick stuff. And here it comes. Now, essentially, the question is if, right? And this is where order flow comes in for you. If we fail here, it very well could sweep. that would take you back up to this zone, right? It might actually just bounce off of this. If it bounces off of here, then you have a higher time frame move down, which will take this low, right? But it's an if scenario. Otherwise, we just get liquidation. Remember, you don't need to be early, but you do need to be right. And there's enough volatility that a trigger is going to take you back up to this fractal at minimum. Right? But the majority, a trade 1 minute in, choose your weapon wisely. Choose your weapon wisely. But that's how you catch potential low of days. Right? The trade-off is that if you're not on with order flow and seeing exactly what you want, and the continuation of that, then it just drives through and you feel very silly. So you got your chap into that fractal. It's now spiking down. Our expectation is still that it trades back into the prior zone. Be right back in 1 second, sorry, while this shakes out. All right. So nothing doing so far. Right inside of our area of interest. Shocker. Right? And if this fails here, then we drive up probably to this area here. Which would then that probably give you a little bit of a move back down, but this is not a short to take regardless, in my opinion. And the reason is because you're betting against this sweep of this low, right, on a 15-minute chart, which would give you potential higher time frame drive. Because now everybody that's been shorting the entire way, their stop's probably here. And you got this run. So what you're identifying essentially is this strength after this movement. That should have put in a new low. We've now failed twice. So 54 the likely target at minimum. And you really don't want to see it come back down into this. You want this finished business and done. But it is possible we get another sweep. Although I think that's lower probability if we're going to trade up into this now. And if we get that trade back down and failure, right, and we leave this low, then we're likely looking for a large move. There's your sweep. or not sweep, at least taking that low. You got 301. We've left the prior above zone alone, at least so far. Is it? Lovely. Morning, Tom. $40 lag? Oh, that's not on. How do we fix that? That's actually useless, isn't it? Even 3 seconds. Oh my God. Set your playback speed to 1.25 so it doesn't drift too far. Okay, let's have a look at that. Where is that? As we missed the low. How do you adjust playback speed? Oh, it's for you guys, okay. It's still wild. We've got that sweep coming in here. We should trade back up into the prior zone now. And your concern is obviously this candle. Even though it's swept, we want a body closure above it to make sure that we know that it's weak. I know. I'm sure. I'm sure. Can you? Where did you get in? 17s.
Order submitted.
The legend.
Target filled. Order submitted.
My goodness. All the way back down, and now what? Not really what we wanted to see out of this. It is trading below this candle. If we don't find strength here, we take that low.
Target filled. Order submitted.
Yeah. And yet another sweep.
Order submitted. Target filled.
This has got to break through this fractal if it's going to go higher at all.
Order submitted.
right? And then we're looking for this high at the minimum, 47.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
She's in the pocket. We're seeing unwillingness to go lower. The shorts might be on the right side, but doesn't seem willing yet. You keep hearing order submitted. I took one trade off of this sweep failure. Right? And I'm currently in this.
Target filled.
And I'm expecting this high. But she's got to go.
Order submitted.
Right? So we're having some struggle here, but it's fine. Still looking for these two. This could be building an SNDR to take this low. As well, if we have failure up here. Now, ideally with the SNDR, you don't really get like this strong shove. We want this to be consolidation and range-bound PA down here, which will take this. Or this failure really drives us higher. But that's annoying you guys are hearing everything. That's got to be a little distracting. There's your pop. Now what do we get? They need a strong bearish push here. That high was 47.50. This closed at 47.50. Shocker. And if you're trailing aggressively, essentially your low should be here at 35.50. And that protects you from a lot of downside should it want to trade back into this, even if it wants to go a little bit higher. Right? So that traded back into the open of this candle and we found strength. Away we go. At least back up to here. I still do want it to trade into this zone. Uncomfortable trade to sit through. But that's why we have our narrative and our targets on our side. There's your zone. We're seeing a little bit of unwind from the consolidation that happened here. Right? Welcome to the greatest show on earth. Who grabbed anything in here and it was sitting? This is the area we'd be concerned about for shorting. Right? And again, depends entirely on your... Go that way. Aggressive style, whether you're looking for here, right? This is pretty much exactly where it should get held up. There's your trigger, but that's very aggressive. We don't want to get caught in a higher time frame shove. I think we probably get one more push up if it's going to fail. And again, that's a big if. Everybody hunting this low. Right? Which is still possible if we fail here. But hope and fear are the same thing. Some people are hoping that it hits. Some people are afraid that it hits. It's entirely your opinion of what's going on. Sweeping underneath this candle twice. I think that's dangerous for the bearish side. Unless we get follow through now. Right? Higher time frame delivery. Which is good, because if it ever decides to flip, then it should probably be pretty clean, actually, right? We're seeing this trade down right to the open. Cool. We're saying this sweeps here, trades below the low. Okay. But fails to put in a valid high. That doesn't necessarily mean to open positions here. But if you're monitoring this for higher time frame move on your position, that's what you're looking for. Because that tells you we're going higher. There goes that high. Regardless of the location being good, regardless of the trigger that happened to go short, away you go. All right. Don't fight the higher time frame ever. All right, so sideways, spikes up into the midpoint. That's pretty much what you want to see with order flow. Trades up, sharply away, consolidation. You want follow through now. And your first concern is this low. That's if you're taking an aggressive short in there. I'm sitting on my hands right now. $345 after my short runner stop. You took a long in here, Burr, and you took it to here? Or you were looking short? Now, ideally, we snap this low and then trade back in, and that would give you a viable short opportunity to look to trade at minimum back down to here. Probably takes that low on that retracement. But it's got to take this. 46. Listen to the market nuances. Really good cover on your shorts there. That's awesome. That's what you're looking for if you're like essentially trade management is asking the question constantly, where am I wrong? Where would I buy if I'm short? Where would I sell if I'm long? Right? Morning, Jose. I still think of this low as the predominant one. So all this nonsense in here is actually still leaning more towards the upside. And it's because of that low at 46. And we're 3 ticks off. But those are an important 3 ticks, aren't they? Weight of the world on 3 ticks. She always gets to where she needs to go. She might not do it the way we like. She always gets there. And there she goes.
Order submitted. Target filled.
Right into our pocket. Beautiful reaction. I'm break even now at 70.25. There's target 1. I want to see some sort of follow through here, or else I'm probably taking it off. This should be into our area and gone. And I like the aggressive shove away, but we need follow through. Right, we got 2 minutes to the turn of the hour, which is also something. Right? And this failure should take this low and then this one. Right? So I'm looking for that 46 low. But again, this is very aggressive. This is very aggressive. Right? The conservative trade is waiting for this low put in a new high. You could argue that one as well, even on lower time frame. But in reality, this should be weak. Whereas this is kind of, I mean, that's not a valid pullback, but we're looking at these as swings. And that's important, I think, because even though there's only one structural pullback, this actually is still currently in pullback mode. Because we haven't broken above, we need a body closure above this candle at 69.25. Otherwise, this could actually be your movement back down and just kind of chopping around in here until then. $20 seconds till fireworks. Now what? Everybody looks, oh, there's a wick. Look how much buying pressure there was. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Are we still bearish? Yes. Why? Your protected high was here. Traded lower. Right? Now we traded back into here. We had failure. We're coming back in. That doesn't mean we can't look for failure for long back in there, but it means that if we take long positions, you have to be aware of failure on the other side, similarly to why failure on this short position, if you were short here, is a reason to get out. Right? So this is now traded back in, mitigated here. It needs to break and have a strong push above this. It looks like it wants to. And if it can, then we probably take this high and we might trade back in. That high was 79.75. We've just taken it by a tick. Sweeping the protected high. I should make a video about that. Now everybody's out on the short side. They've taken liquidity. Yes, we failed down here so far. If we're still targeting this low, we're still not against that theory in the intermediate time frame. This area in the middle, after it's taken both sides liquidity, stay away from this. Wait for something more structural, especially if you're growing accounts. You want directional bias. Right now, this is range bound, which means you stay out of the middle. You fade the extremes until you see something otherwise. I'm not suggesting shorting this at 74. Right? I don't know if anybody bought on the red folder news candle. I did not. But remember that your job as traders is to manage risk first. Manage risk first. Making money is the desired outcome. How you do that is you stay out of trouble. You attack almost when you're forced to trade. I just can't avoid taking that. It's too nice. It's too tasty. I love a good old barbecue. Now what? right back up into the 70s. This has probably done its job, I suppose, now. Yep. Bang. This will be your next target, which will probably wreck that pretty quick. And then we got that one here. There it goes. We staying safe? How do you know when to not short this? Well, number one, you don't have any trigger. Right? You want follow through from this, as in finished business and gone. The only place I would be looking for a possible failure rejection similar to this would be up here. I think we take these, we might trade back down after taking these highs, but and there are ways to get, I mean, essentially if you're expecting higher time frame delivery, you're taking trades based off of the close of the candles. That's not the way that I trade. But a lot of people trade a lot differently, and they make a lot of money. And that's basically how they do it. They're buying the close of these candles, expecting continuation, right? Until they're wrong. But they expect this high to get taken on a body closure above it. And why wouldn't you? Now, if we're going to fail here at all, or even have a retracement back down into our zone, you'll likely see some sort of rejection from here. Right? For those of you guys that love your projections, you've got probably something that lines up with it too. Right in here. Right, so midpoint's 13. We were one tick off. Again, not anything I trade off of. But similar to imbalance, I respect the power that they have over the market being mathematical. The problem with projections is when do you know when to use them or not? Because essentially you're trading with them as aggressive location-based trades. You're taking trades just because of the area that they're in. And you have to be comfortable with, okay, maybe I have a 20-point stop or something, and whatever my win rate is, you've got to study enough to and backtest enough to make sure that it's a profitable way of trading. So violently taking this high. This is the high of this range as well. So my expectation would be, especially if this price action continues, that we trade down at least a little bit, probably to that high. Now again, I don't look at this, I look at from here. Right? So that would be the area I would consider for a retracement. And if she retraces, it's likely going to be pretty violent. Pretty violent. Oof. Immediately knocked down 10 points from that high. And counting. And counting. I'd be very careful in longs with this order flow. Know what you really want to see out of a high of day, but that order flow change in personality. That's dangerous stuff. ES is flying. ES has been flying for months. Money's really rolled out of tech. I'm gonna take a stab in here
Order
just with a
submitted.
small position.
Order submitted.
And if I'm wrong, then I'm gonna be wrong about 5 points probably. But if I'm right about the order flow change, then that's a major lookout. I think I'm flat if it comes back above 30. I don't really want to be involved if it just gets held up here for another push.
Order submitted.
Take that off there. Not necessarily wrong. I still don't like that, but that shoved down, I expect it to have a little bit more oomph than it did. We'll see. I might just have to watch this go now. If it does go, that is. Right? Not saying I'm right all the time. But I have something very specific that I want to see on those trades where I don't have really strong triggers. Right? No reason to get out of it. Certainly didn't come up to where my stop was or anything close, but I just didn't like how it got held up underneath this. I expected follow through. And consolidation, it might do this and then go, who knows? Right? But the probability for me was lower after that. And this is what you avoid from hours and hours of backtesting. Right? And now we look at this objectively and we're like, well, why shorten there at all? And you'd probably be right. You know, this is a potential trigger here, but again, like this is, if it's going to go down, this is going to form probably the high for the next 15, 20, maybe even hour. Right? I just don't trust it. I want something a little bit more conclusive. Entries obviously at a premium as we just move. Right? So this was the only area I would be looking at. And this area obviously delivered quite nicely. This area did not. Got held up for a sec, but we're just careening up here. Looks like we've got this here to deal with. And then en route to that high. And you notice that there's no failure on that either from overnight. I think ES has a, was it 85% probability of taking either the overnight high or overnight low. It's probably already done that. And this isn't unheard of either if we want to continue on. If only somebody had said we were going to just sweep here, and if that fails, then we're going to take all these highs here on route. Say it with me. Trading at something else entirely. Trading it as something else entirely. Right? And there's honestly not been a lot of entries today. So your job is then patience for the aforementioned reason of staying out of trouble. Where's Zin? Did you take calls this morning? Ah, you love those cues, eh? This is glacially slow, right? But I mean, if anybody was long, you're actually still not even stopped out, right? So, I don't know. This is going to the moon, long here. Patrick Wieland it. Right? And low, 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 right? This is all internal. Our stop's still here. You get a break above, now your stop goes here. Now your stop goes here. We're still riding this up. Let it go. Just let it go. Right? Your concern is when you sweep above a candle like this, it trades back down. Ideally, you get a trade and it bounces off of the open. But this is higher time frame delivery when your 1 minute candlestick structure doesn't break the prior low. And we still got this. Now, with experience, you can see something like this, that if this candle continues to sell off, then we're looking for a snap. And when the move back down comes, you're expecting violent price action. If you get price action that isn't violent, that tells you something else. If you get a lethargic movement, now you're looking for failure to then go long. There's your midpoint for another trade, almost delivering that to that low of that zone there. Your expectation is this flat bottom at minimum, 35.50. But again, that's if you're considering shorts at all on a higher time frame shove. You might not. You might wait for some sort of break. And there it goes. If you're sitting on your hands, commend yourself for your patience. There's multiple scalp opportunities on a daily basis. We don't need to be involved in all of them. But all you need is a couple of trades a day with high probability. And then you walk. And then you walk. This is technically a change in order flow. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch to suggest that this low is that consequential. This did trade lower and then put it in a new high, yes. And now we've broken below. That sweep probably takes this high. If we're going to come down at all, that's would be how I would expect it to unfold. There goes that high. Or did it? There it goes. Yeah, it did by one tick. 55 flat, not exactly what I'd be looking for, but I think a reversal's coming soon. I don't like to get into the habit of predicting price too much. I'd rather be reactive and listen to what it's telling me than trying to be right about forecasting and whatnot. This is just kind of what I see. Right? I wanted that candle here to close bearish. That would have been a little bit more of a sign that we're ready. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. I just need to see something specific when you have higher time frame direction. Otherwise, you're trying to catch a top that never comes. And that's a really bad place to be in. If you're reading PA as being a little challenging today, it's, well, here you go, right? That candle closing bullish was the market whispering to you that it's not ready to go short. Now, all trends end in climax. So this could be the consolidation yielding to the expansionary pre-A. But again, betting against this, even with the understanding that I'm still expecting a reversal. Now that's very violent, right? And if this sells off and comes back below it, then you get your trade back in. That gives you that reversal. But again, I'm not looking long in here at all. Even with this, we expect higher, but I need some sort of structure forming. Who's staying safe? Anybody? Hopefully everybody. Yeah, definitely have that high as a target for sure. Yeah, I haven't been taking any trades in this either. I need more than I think it's going to go up to take a long. I need a structural reason and a narrative one. Now you can look at this and go, well, probably even the 5 minute, just straight up. This is not lethargic or moving to liquidity. Or sorry, this is not lethargic moving where you're expecting rejection. We had this, which had the potential of doing so, and then a rocket ship, right? But that's just potential. That's just potential. So check your patience and your habits. If you're finding yourself going long here out of frustration, you might make money today. But again, you want consistency in your trading, which means your decisions have to be consistent. You don't get consistency from sporadic decision making. You're buying breakouts half the time and you're buying pullbacks half the time. Master one. Then add something else to your toolkit. Trade the conservative model and grow your accounts before you go in with the aggressive one. Work on your structure and narrative before you start trading the sweep model. This would have been an aggressive short. I'm sitting on my hands, but I expect at least back down to 50. Are they listening to us? Or are we just hindsight traders? You guys decide. Now that touched off the top of these wicks. Strong movement so far. People will find any reason to buy in this. And in fairness to them, they're making money. But it's just not the way I like to trade. At least in my experience, I found that one time where you're like, well, here comes the pullback. I've missed every pullback this morning. Or made the decision to sit on my hands all morning with all of them. And then that one pullback just does like this, doesn't it? I'll probably show some live executions next week by the way, for you lads. We're starting to see a little bit different. We didn't get our body closure underneath this, but I'm still looking at trading back down into this here, which would be this high at 50.50 and that low of 39. It could give one last shove. That's not really a credible high. But we're starting to fail above these candles here after strong price movement, which leads me to think that we've got a little bit of a retracement coming in, at least a couple of swings. But still no positions. Bull wheeling. Very nearly there. There we go. Finally. Thank you very much. A deceptive 30-point range. Now, as we go down, if we go down at all, you're looking at this being lethargic. You've now swept and failed underneath here. So that very well could have been that retracement that's done now. Right? This trading back up into this prior area, this high put in that low. So now you're looking, if it's going to fail, let's get rid of this, it's pretty much done its job now. Right? You want to see a trade above this, which it just did. That's your change in order flow. If it taps back in, that might break this high, which would be your expectation. Otherwise, what you're looking at is this low having some sort of failure in here, which would then take you a little bit lower for at least your third attempt at reversing that. Nice trade, Tom. Yeah, I still think 508's on the cards. Ideally, what you get now if you're sitting on your hands is you want to see some sort of failure. Either back down at 59 or a little bit lower. Or if it comes back down to here, then you got the open of this candle. But highly unlikely. Right? So you might have been expecting this. But this is why we preach reactions to price movement. This high here, put in that low, we got a body closure above it. That tells us that our lower time frame has changed. Now this might still trade back down before breaking this. And you have to determine if you want to sit through that or not, or what you want to see. Some of you might be trailing your low here, and essentially you're betting on this imbalance not being tapped into. Right? This one wasn't. That one wasn't. We traded all the way up here. If we're going to take this high, what likely forms is some sort of an SNDR. Right? So failure here, yes, technically that makes this low weak, but I like this candle structure. What do we get? Bit of a shove. So what you're monitoring is we're now into that area we were just talking about. You've got this low here. You're inside of that pocket you're looking for, the open of this candle. Seeing a bit of a reaction, at least so far.
Order submitted. Order canceled.
Take that off here. Wow. What happened there? Right? So we got our trade. Looks like Apex entered me in a short position or kept it when I closed in here. So I'm gonna have to send a ticket. Lovely. That's really lame. I'll deal with that. Our expectation still, we've failed underneath here. We've now got to get a closure above this, or else this position trades lower here. Be right back in 1 sec. I'm back now. I'm just sending a ticket to Apex from the technical issues. Hopefully they sort it out. This low is still weak. Right? We failed. We then traded down. We had failure in here. That 48.25. We're one tick off of it. Be interesting to see if we trade back down to there or not. You've got this as well that you're kind of getting held up at. We've already traded back into this once, so the liquidity is here. What I liked about this move and why I took this scalp was that we added the body closure above this candle. That tells me that trading back down into here should be strong. So I took 10 points out of there. The problem is that we then failed over this last structural bearish candle. Right? So now we're in full retracement mode, trading up. We've now traded underneath. If we get major failure underneath this low, then this could potentially be an SFDR to take this high. The trick is that if it's not, we have a lot to clear out below us. That could get very violent very, very quickly. Right? So no trigger or anything in here. Just continuing lower. You've got this low. You might get a sweep from below that, but we're in higher time frame movement now. So be a little careful if you guys do decide to take something for the long trade up. And if you're looking at whereabouts can retrace to, we've got all this way down here in the 80s, 50 points lower. Now, getting involved short, similar to long, is very challenging. sorry. What you've got here is you're looking for some sort of lethargic movement trading down into our area of interest if we're going to trade back to the 80s or this consolidation. Right now, these long positions, you might get little failure, right? But this would just be retracements, and that's low probability. You want to be making extremely sure if you're taking trades that there's a reason to go up other than just sweeping below these prior candles. Right? Now, when you catch it, your first consideration is the imbalance. You're monitoring to see, do we close above this candle or not? Right? Because of how market structure works, these trades should trade back into the prior zone. Right? Even if that barely touches here. It doesn't have to, though. So you have to make sure that you're not just setting and forgetting or expecting the trade that you've fallen in love with to fly. Right? Dumping down. Again, the only area that we're really looking at is where this move started. So we've got this here. Right? This is from the energy of the move itself. We really started buying, and man, did we ever, all in here. That's sitting above this range. You might get a bounce out of it, but you need a little bit more structure to form a reversal. Right? And people are looking at this down here that we marked out earlier. Yeah, just really, really annoying. Technical issues are just, they're so frustrating, especially when they cost a lot of money. That short position that I took in the area, where was it? In here, I think. No, it must have been a little bit later. No, it wasn't there. Wasn't there expecting if this was going to move. So I entered, it traded down, I closed the position, and only one account closed. The rest of them held short. Now obviously I'm looking at TradingView and the stream and whatnot, and it just kept going. And I had no idea that those accounts were still sitting short. So I sent my execution screen. Hopefully they can do something, because those accounts have obviously blown up now. So that's really frustrating. Only a few PAs left that closed out properly. But I don't know if they're having rhythmic issues today or not, but those of you guys that know me, it is not my style to hold through this nonsense. And hopefully they can see that as well, and they reset it to the beginning of today. That's wild to me. Yeah, I don't use Tradevate. I found I did do like the top step thing with Tradevate executions on TradingView, but I found my fills were horrific. So I trade exclusively with Top Step X for my Top Step PAs. Ninja, yeah. But I think it was more of a copier issue. Right? Like, one contract here, why is it short riding 2 or 3 up? Like, I don't get it. Whole bunch of issues there. I don't know if it's copier, if it's rhythmic, if it's a combination of both, but they better sort it out. So we got our move at least, right? And this is why I draw it from here. The end target may very well be here, but quite often you'll get that retracement back into the zone. And now we can determine what we're going to do. Right? Now again, this is delivering up higher. We didn't really get a change in order flow. You could argue this here, but that in reality is this high trading all the way down. Right? So other than the sweep model being very aggressive, there wasn't really a way to get in here other than that sweep inside of the location pocket. Now trading back up to this, now you've got this here. We'll see what happens. Right? So aggressive short, you're looking at least for it to trade back down to here. If you get failure in here, then that takes that high. I mean, even if you get failure down here, without taking the low and continuing. It takes that high. Right to the open. You want follow through. Right? And continuation at least down to here and then lower. Filled sell and filled buy. No, I mean, it has like entry, and then so entry at 10:12 of 1 short, and the entry copier is 33333, and then the close at 10:13 I hit close, and it closed the copier, but it didn't. It looks like it didn't. Yeah, it does. So if I have, hold on, this is actually even better. Right, so that closed. Actually, there shouldn't have been any position on at all, so I don't know why it didn't. That's even better for my position, for my cause. So like I had, for whatever reason, there was 3 contracts on, and then the copied close on all of them was 3 contracts 1 minute later. So there should have been no position whatsoever. And then there was an external close 46 points higher at 10:26. But by the execution screen, there should have been no position whatsoever. So I think that's even more damning for Rhythmic. They better reset it to this morning. That makes no sense. The numbers match up. So for whatever reason, even if it had an error, and it did, of executing me with more contracts than what was put on, they were all closed out 1 minute later. So there should have been no reason for an external anything 13 minutes later, because there was no position in there. So I think they'll probably do the right thing. They better do the right thing. Right? Anyways, you guys don't want to hear about this nonsense. So again, we're not in love with our entries, right? We got a trade here inside of our area of interest. Love it. Right? Whether we take it or not, we're now observing price. We trade down. Where's our objective? Our objective is, first we want to see if it bounces and fails off of this. It didn't. Cool. Now we're looking where? We're looking to see if we can create a valid high or not. You'll notice this trade up didn't actually touch this yet. It traded all the way back down and found strength. So we're looking at this long in the same light that we want to see what happens when it trades to the open of this candle. Because this candle's now weak as we've swept below it into our area of interest. Cool. We trade up close. We trade away. We found strength. Cool. After this candle, we would expect higher prices because the bearish attempt to sell off failed. Similarly to this, the bearish attempt to sell off failed. That needs to be something like this. Pleasure, Burr. Hopefully you banked this morning, man. Is everybody green so far, or are we been sitting on our hands all day? How are we doing? Tom's always green. Two X what you did this week. Beautiful. Paid for that quarterly or monthly or whatever membership in a day. Congrats to your success today, man. That's a one way to go into the weekend, isn't it? You're going to call him? I can't believe you actually met him, and that's hilarious. Yeah, we'll chat about that later. That's way too funny. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely talk. That's insane. You never knew who he was? We're looking at this, by the way, if it's going to fail. You probably get a reaction out of here, but I think this high gets taken at 81s now. Now, this isn't valid. Not a valid swing, right? But we're looking at the attempts to sell off. That's way too funny, Burr. Didn't realize you were a celebrity, man. Right? So when you're monitoring things, what you're looking for is a few different things. Those of you guys that are like kind of on the right track, what you want is when people are rookie traders, they look at strong bearish candles, strong bullish candles, right? And you're like, oh, it's going up, so I better buy. And sometimes that works. Sometimes selling on candles that are bearish does not work, and you get your face melted off. right? So what do you do? And those of you guys have heard me talk about this quite a few times. It's not the candle, it's the response. Why does that matter? It matters because to improve your win rate and really get consistent, you're looking at what the market's attempting to do and what it's failing to do. Because that really tips its hand on strength. For example, we look at valid swings as the market attempting to rally or sell off and succeeding. Right? So when you get a valid swing, like this one that we just put in here, in an uptrend, this valid swing that then becomes protected, now you can trust this area to take a long out of. That's very basic. But what about non-basic? What's the market attempting to do here? It's attempting to sell off, isn't it? You have these long wicks. That actually was at 52.50, strong bull bar at one point. This was a strong bear bar at 42, 10 points down. Closes here. Trades up, tries to sell off again, closes here. It's important because you might have considered a short position. I mean, that short position looks like it's working out a little bit. Right? Now that we finally got our valid swing, which is going to pull back to where? Right? You've got your pocket, which is probably about here. If we get a bounce. I don't like these equal highs. I think that those get taken en route to this high. You're looking at this going, well, that's not really exactly what you want to see for a high a day now, is it? And lo and behold, where did it trade back down to? Who could have predicted this? I think this has pretty much done its job, even for an inverse play. Right? So you've got this here where the move really started getting some steam. So this trade might have a couple of swings down into this on the lower time frame, into this area of interest. And then my expectation would be it would trade higher. Now, if it doesn't get held up here, you're basically looking at this low. Not a protected swing, but you're looking at that low for liquidity, which might give you a movement back up. But the reality is that we have no structure in this push. Even though it's higher time frame delivery, we know how quickly that can get taken out because there's no structure. This is kindling if the market wants to shove downwards. Is it waiting for something? This seems to be very higher time frame delivery. So, I mean, the thesis of the morning was we've got this, eventually, we've got this higher time frame high. We're building an SNDR here. In fact, we've been building it since the 9th to take this. Right? We're failing above, trading back down. We're failing below, trading up. And you'll notice these sort of things happen quite often. We had it here. Sideways PA, sells off, consolidation to break this structural high. And what's it doing? All it's doing is this. Right? This could trade back into here, or it can get held up here. Right? All it's doing is making higher highs and higher lows. The interesting thing will be what this ends up doing, because we have the all-time highs here. So when you get this movement, you don't want lethargic movement trading up into it. It might take it and then lead to a rejection, who knows? Not wild about this for a long. If we get a shove and then failure underneath, then fair enough, you might get a movement. But we are obviously in this retracement. You'll notice we traded back up into this area of interest that sent us down. Whereabouts? Well, actually not even really from there, is it? I suppose it is. But it's more the midpoint of this power zone. Right? This is not really what you want to see in this, a weak bull bar. You want to see strength. I appreciate the like, bro. Right, now, if you're looking at that, again, this isn't a valid swing. So I'm hesitant to buy out of this at all. But if it was going to move, that would be the area it would be coming from. Your concern is that we're delivering lower. Now, albeit this is lethargic, you've got some bars that were closed bullish. Hey, Andy. What's up, buddy? I'm thinking this is lethargic, yes. This is the area, yes. I think that we trade a little bit further down before we get a scalp up. Back down to this sort of consolidation that occurred here. More specifically, this. It could run. This could run, right? That was some nice buying that occurred there. I just need to see a little bit more. It's in this nice little pocket of consolidation that broke above here. That's cool. This is just a little bit too aggressive for me. I don't like these highs. I think we go higher. But I don't want to be early. And that saves you from this. There goes that low at 24.50. You might get a trade back up in. But again, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Something in here, ideally. Oop. See what we get, or if I get knifed down. Ideally, we want to trade through here now, 23. This is, I'm just basing this on order flow with what I didn't really want to see from the bearish side. Obviously, that had to go down a little bit further. And if I get hit for 10 points, I get hit for 10 points. It looks like I might. Obviously, a little bit aggressive. There it goes. Okay. Didn't really get our follow through. Might try this again here. But again, we're starting a free fall now. And there's no structure in this. Oh, yep. Right back to the 20s. See if you get a movement back down in. Little early. I was early on that one. That one was proper, looks like. Right? And ideally that trades back up to this. This is your first area of interest that might come back down to the 15, 16s. Just a little bit too tight of a stop. Or a poor entry, one of the two. Knifing back in. I like that we got a body closure above that. Yes, we traded back into here. We're now back into the pocket. This is the second entry. And I want this gone. Or we're going below that low. Now this is a trade, if you're taking the conservative entry,
Target filled.
you're not necessarily looking for 10 points, you're looking for higher, probably back up into here. Or beyond that. That was a really good rejection. They need aggressive selling through this area, or else we go higher above that high. If it's going to fail from here, and it's going to fail right now. Otherwise, it goes immediately above 29 and probably up to 37. And if it can't, then you take that off, that conservative entry off in here. Because you're probably on the wrong side, and it's likely going to go underneath this. Right? You've now got two bear bars after decent buying. It needs to go, or you're on the wrong side. In my opinion, buying this. We're holding on to this body closure, right? We're seeing buying come in. Good. I'm still holding this position. But we need follow through. Chop, 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 chop. Absence of strong bull bars coming in here yet. This is the area we want, but you also need to monitor what it's doing. And that way you're not in love with your position. You're going to see something happen now. If this can't rally, then we go down off this candle or the next one, because we've now got this bar closing here, which means this is either the last push down before higher, or we get follow through now. But something's going to happen because you have a change in personality from the 3 prior candles. That's candlestick video number 1. Okay, I'm break even at 1575 now. I'm looking for this to run, or we're wrong. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. That did take that high, immediately coming back down. I would want it to bounce off of this 22 area if we're going to go higher. Straggler, Andy. It's all good, man. Whoop. Now, when you want to see higher time frame movement and you get anything else, you have to make the decision if you want to take it off above this high, or if you want to endure and hold for something similar to this. And that might be uncomfortable for you, but that's where the growth comes in, right? Now you put your stop underneath here, assuming we get a body closure. Or your stop's underneath here already. Okay, taking one off above this high. Candles. Candles. Right? And now you don't want it to trade below here. Right? That low is, what is that? 426 half. Right? Alternatively, just there it goes. Now, what you're determining as well, we've got sort of a lethargic movement coming in, but that just swept underneath here. So that takes out the parabolic movement, if that's what you're expecting. Right? But we're also monitoring it to determine if this is higher time frame or not. So failure underneath here, that's actually pretty good for the long position. And I don't like how violently that pushed back down, but again, structurally, it's failing to create a valid high. That's very important. If this shove can continue. Watching, watching, waiting, watching, waiting, watching, waiting. But what you're determining, right, is like, don't fly by the seat of your pants. Oh, there's a bull bar. Oh, there's a bear bar. Oh, there's a bull bar. What do I do here? I don't want, like, if you're short, what are you expecting? You expecting just every candle to just go on a rocket ship, never having a pullback in a swing position? Do you need to take a trade and be right in the next 30 seconds or you're out? Because that's going to be 10 to 15% of your trades that you're really comfortable in. And that's not where you want to be now, is it? So what's trade management then? Trade management is what you're expecting. Okay, we're trying to sell off here. We failed. So we go higher. Right? We're trying to sell off here. We actually failed to have this close below this structural bear bar. Trades back in. We're failing to go lower. Leads to higher. Right? Why did we expect it in here? Because there was a change in personality. This bear bar, huge wick, closes pretty much where it opened. This bear bar, huge wick, closes pretty much where it opened. This bull bar, compression, right? Two inside bars. Closes pretty much where it opened. This one was different. And yet, closing here generated nothing. Rocket ship. You guys have questions or anything with what I'm talking about? Is this making any sense? Early's fine, John. Pay yourself. All good. Right? We want that high probability whether you get in here. I typically have 10 points. You guys saw me get wrecked my first trade on this. It traded down, it swept, it came back in. That was very aggressive. Probably shouldn't have after the strength of this candle. Because I was expecting this and I got chopped. Right? But we don't need to be in necessarily right here. That's the aggressive trade. Getting involved here, taking 10, 20 points. We can build on what to look for to hold for longer. We have equal highs here, which is my stretch target. Let's get rid of some of this nonsense now, before these lines look like they're matching up with a whole bunch of stuff. And in reality, they can be, but I don't want to throw too much at you guys. Structure and narrative first. Then we work on candles and order flow and entries. But structure and narrative first. What's the market doing? Where's it going to? Taking 10 points 3 times a day, 4 times a day, changing life. Study how price moves, not patterns. Right? Entry is like the 4th thing to focus on. 4th. But it gets the most views on social media because everybody wants to learn how to attack the market. How do I get in? How do I make money? How do I get in? How do I make money? You be patient and you wait. Forget psychology until your strategy is sound. Right? Same sort of thing happening here. Where's that trading to? Right? Random. Your concern from the bullish standpoint is that candle there. Not this one. That's manipulation. This is your last structural bullish candle. So if we fail to make a valid high, we're still delivering higher. As much as they try with a, what was that? 20 points? 20 points flash sell-off? Fear and hope. 2 sides of the same coin. Both are detrimental to your trading and life. People look at hope as a good thing. But what that does, same as fear, is it takes your attention away from what's happening right in front of you in the present moment. That's where the magic is. What's happening now? Right? Let go of the outcome. Focus on trade management, getting better every day, at least 1%. You might have been in here, wherever, or here, right? Or this pullback, whatever, and taken 10, 15 points, or 7 points, I don't know. And now your task is to watch how price unfolds and what you expect to happen, right? So this low, traded up, we failed above that candle. So we should take that low. Now we've closed underneath. We probably go for these lows here. And you'll notice this is doing this. I don't like these equal highs. But we have to react to what price is telling us. Right? So we've swept underneath both of these. We then close bullish. Yes, we had our body closure underneath there. Right? Your concern is this imbalance being respected or not. If it's not, we go above this high. At minimum, we'll go above this at 442.75. The only thing that's stopping this right now is the imbalance. Might actually be a little long scalp coming in here from 36. And that'll be your 5 or 10 points from there. And your stop's just below there at 5 points. Those of you guys that love your risk reward, there's 2 to 1? Right, but this has got to get on its horse. There you are. Are we entertained or what? We say jump, the market says how high? No, I'm just kidding. Stressed? You're in the greatest casino on earth, man. You guys enjoy barbecue shorts in the morning? Quite tasty. Quite tasty. I have PAs with Apex, and I have PAs and actually a live account that I'm waiting on activation at Top Step. I would be with Take Profit as well. I think they're a very, very good firm. But being in Canada, I don't have the ability to get to their best account, which is a Pro Plus. And that's to do with Trade-Evade or something. Is my understanding with it, but whoop. You guys didn't know you were being invited to our barbecue, did you? Yeah. I think a lot of, like, the interesting thing about Take Profit, though, that the other accounts don't, or the other firms don't have, is that kind of day one. So if you're consistent enough to make pretty good coining even in your first day or first week, then getting paid out for that is pretty nice. We actually do a bunch of giveaway accounts. I think we gave away 5 accounts, what was it, last week? So pretty much all the affiliate money that comes in from people using our codes, we just give it back to you guys in accounts. We make our money from trading. Right? So interesting failure. right? And your concern after that failure is if it takes this or not. This low is now officially weak, but you need to see confirmation of that by a valid swing. Or swing high, I should say. This candle closes underneath, that very much increases the probability that this is going to trade below here. Hey, morning, Mikey. $200 on one micro. You're disciplined, man. Kudos to you for that. What is that? 50 to 100 points? Good for you. How long have you been doing that for? Violent failure and yet achieved nothing. I don't like the order flow that it did it, so I'm sitting on my hands. But as it stands right now, it's still pointing up. Little scalp long if it decides to go. Otherwise, I'm out below that there. This candle's low. She's either going to run and she's manipulated, or I'm wrong. And I'm fine being wrong for a couple of points when the possibility is about 10 to 20 in a major squeeze.
Target filled.
Okay, and wrong it is. Still not terribly convinced, but that was good failure. So I sit on my hands now. 10 minutes to lunch. Looks like slightly early. My goodness. Last year, eh? Do you think you'll ever scale back up again? Multiple rhythmic accounts? No. No, there's not.
Target filled.
Well, that's not true. I think Replicanto does, doesn't it? I'll just Quant Tower allow you to. It's actually not a bad platform. I didn't mind it at all. Is it? I don't like how orders are really slowing down here.
Target filled.
Yeah, I did take that loss. Where was it? In here. Right? This failure, yes. But I wanted to see acceleration below that. I would have been more confident had we closed above that candle there, validating it as an order block. But I think that I actually wanted those equal lows to go, but I didn't get that. I didn't get that going. Anybody have any sort of questions or anything like that? We'll probably call the stream at around noon. Go get some breakfast. Maybe we'll come back and have some fun for Friday afternoon. We'll see. But this is very choppy, so make sure you guys are playing the extremes. Looking back, that was probably just a little bit too aggressive of a trade off of narrative, which was silly. Do I trade ICT? I think that I definitely respect a lot of his concepts. I think the imbalances, fair value gaps, and some other things that he's done is, or at least brought to light for the majority of people, have a lot of power and influence in the market. In terms of my personal trading style, I look at trading where significant price movements came from, and then the retracement of that using one of my strategies is, I guess, formed around the OTE of ICT, right? Like if I'm looking at this is the area where I'm expecting a retracement to of the current swing. Right? So I guess that's ICT. But in terms of any of his models, not necessarily. I studied it for a little bit. Right? And I found that a lot of the most strategies will get involved around the same areas for different reasons. But it's all price action. Depends what you code it as, right? I think ICT would look at this like we're trading above, we've taken liquidity here, now we're trading back into the range, right? We're seeing failure makes this a weak low, which takes that weak low. Right? And I jumped the gun obviously in here, which was stupid. In fact, it looks like I should have held that for these up here. Yeah. People buying the breakout, they're probably not wrong. If this really wants to go, it's just going to continue. You might get a consolidation up here before it runs this high. Either way, patience is a virtue today. And away it goes. Right. So you guys, if you guys are long, hopefully you guys are long in this and certainly not trying to short it. You're looking for this en route to this high. And then maybe even reaching to this 500 level that we were looking at. Buy a tick. Buy a tick. Quick. Short to 10,000. Where are those inversions? Or whatever other nonsense that's out there. Also, don't, like, this might be a trade back in, but like, there's very few reasons why you would ever have to front run price. You will almost always get a decent change in order flow, which then facilitates movement. Right? Almost always. Like you got this high here, like at 81. Away you go. Right? And we're talking about that down here from that failure. We looked at this failure, but that generated nothing. I want my long back from here. All right. I'll let you guys go. I've got a bone to pick with the prop firm. And yeah, if you're green, stay green, lads. Give away half if you must. Right? Or risk half, I should say. But like, go into the weekend feeling strong. We'll chat with you guys really, really soon. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys on Sunday for backtesting.